thing that I'm going to do is, let's pretend that today is the Monday before Thanksgiving. So I'm coming home from the market and I have my turkey ready to be salted. The reason that we're going to start so early is because turkeys are big birds. There's thick meat in there, and if you want to season it, if you want to get the meat to be well seasoned, you've got to start early. Just sprinkling a little salt on top of a 18-pound turkey the morning you're going to cook it is just not going to cut it. So we're going to start our turkey early. I'm going to unwrap it first, and then I'll bring it over to you guys so that you can see it. The reason that I'm going to rinse my turkey is because a lot of times I find big chunks of ice, even though they're fresh, inside the cavity, and I kind of want to get rid of some of those chunks of ice. But before I rinse my turkey, I've got to check 2 cavities, all right? This guy has this little metal thing on here, and you can just remove that if you want to. Some people like it because it helps them truss, but I'm going to just move the legs off to the side, and then I'm going to squeeze this thing out of here, and I'm going to toss it so I can show you how to truss it. Okay, so in here, this is the cavity by the tush. So you're going to go in there and you're going to pull out, oh my gosh, it's a neck. So you're going to take this neck, and hopefully you'll be making stock on Friday, and so then you can use the neck for stock, okay? So I'll set that off to the side for now. All right, now don't be a rookie and forget to check the neck cavity, because most of the time the organs are in the neck. I mean, they're not there, you know, when the turkey's alive. They're there later. Okay. Some people like to put the giblets, the organs, some people like to put them in gravy, make a giblet gravy. Some people like to put them in stock. I like to put them in the garbage because I think organs are gross. So you can do whatever you want. I'm sure you can find a recipe for giblet gravy. You're not going to find it here, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere. Okay, so rinse this down. Just being honest. All right, so rinse this guy out. If there's any ice in there, get him out. And that's it. Make sure you drain it really well. I see 1 pin feather. I'll just pull that out. Just like that. And now you have to make sure that you've had it dry really, really well. Okay, we don't want it wet at all. And get inside the cavity and really dry it out inside the cavity too. This is a smaller turkey, and that's why it fits nicely into a 13x9 casserole dish. But if you're gonna have a bigger bird, it's not gonna fit. So get a large brining bag, which is basically an oversized Ziploc bag, and then put that into another bowl. You never know if there's going to be a hole. This turkey's going to end up releasing some juice. You don't want turkey juice all over your refrigerator. So now what we're going to do is salt the turkey. We're going to rub it with salt. I call this a dry brine. It's not really a brine because brine implies something that is wet. So normally a brine would be, you know, some sort of a water and salt and sugar solution, which is not something that I like to do anymore. I feel like you can over brine your bird. You can, the meat can get a little mushy sometimes, and some of these thinner pieces of the breast can get overly salted. So I prefer to do what I call a dry brine. So you're going to take kosher salt. I just use this Diamond Crystal kosher salt. I do about 1 tablespoon per 5 pounds of turkey. And if you have something like a 13-pound turkey, then just round up to 3 tablespoons. You're going to take about 2-ish tablespoons of it. Maybe it's 1.5, I have no idea. You're going to go inside the cavity of the bird, and you're going to rub this salt up in the breast area and then around the cavity. All right? You're going to take the rest of the salt and just rub it on the outside of the turkey. Just like that. I'm going to put some on the thighs and some on the drumstick. Just like that. And don't forget the other side. Just like that. Anything that's still left on your hands, I like to go in and I like to separate the skin from the breast meat. There's like a very thin membrane in there that I just tear like that, and then it just gives me access to the breast meat. You are not taking the skin off, you are merely separating the skin from the meat, okay? So then I'll take my hand with whatever salt, go ahead, just jump in, and then sticking it right on the meat. And if there's any salt on the bottom, I'll just put this on the other side. So find that thin membrane right there and just tear it with your finger. Just like that. And then if you ever do anything like a compound butter, this is how it's done. Just to get in between the meat and the skin. So you're salting that a little bit too. Okay, so this bird is now ready to go in the refrigerator, and you will leave it there until Thursday morning. If you want to, some people like to go in and massage it a little bit, and I don't, but you can if you want to. And then on Wednesday night, a lot of people will take whatever plastic wrap or parchment or take it out of the bag, and then allow the skin to dry out a bit overnight in the refrigerator, of course. And that way you will get more of a crispy skin, but that's totally up to you if you want to do that, if you can remember to do that. So now it's Thanksgiving morning. Can we pretend it's Thanksgiving morning? Okay, good. So it's Thanksgiving morning, so you're going to take your turkey out of the fridge a minimum of 1 hour before you're going to roast it. You need to get the turkey to be more room temperature because these thick pieces of meat are not going to cook evenly if this bird is ice cold. The maximum you ever want to leave it out of your refrigerator is 2 hours. Beyond that, the USDA doesn't recommend it because it's sort of like getting into that danger zone of meat at room temperature. Obviously, the larger the bird you have, the longer you'll want to leave it out. So, this one I left out for about 1 hour and 20 minutes this morning before the other one before I baked it. Okay, so you are going to take some paper towel. You are going to pat dry your bird. Okay, it's probably going to be a little bit wet, so you're going to pat it dry, inside, outside. You're not going to rinse it. It doesn't say in the recipe to rinse it, so don't make stuff up, okay? Don't rinse it.
Don't rinse what?
The turkey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't rinse it now.
Oh,
don't rinse it now. No, don't rinse it. We're now going to put some nice aromatics inside the turkey cavity to just infuse it with some flavor. So I have here some fresh thyme. You can use, sometimes at the farmers markets, I see they do these lovely like poultry herb mixes. You can put a whole little bunch of that in there. There's usually sage in there and parsley, maybe a sprig of rosemary. Those are lovely to add as well. I have some of these apple cores from our tart. I'm gonna stick those in there, and some lemon that I just quartered.
With the skin on?
Yes. Good question. Lemon with the skin on. I have some onion that I've quartered. Just shove that in there too. I have the center of the celery, which nobody ever wants, and those leaves have tons of flavor. So I'm shoving that in there as well. And that's that. At this point, it would be nice to truss our turkey, okay? The reason that we truss it, which just means kind of bringing our drumsticks together like that. Number one, it looks pretty when the turkey comes out of the oven because the body of it stays nice and compact instead of the legs just kind of like splaying out. But also the more important reason that we do this is so that the turkey cooks more evenly, which is key to successfully roasting a turkey. So I'm going to take this twine, I'm going to put it underneath my tush, my turkey tush, and then I just cross it like that. I'd like to tuck the tush in a bit. And then grab the drumstick legs right here at the ankle, and then you're just going to tie that around here and just cross it like that. And then you can tie a knot or a bow or whatever, and that's it. That's trussing it. Okay, so now our turkey has all the aromatics inside to flavor it, and we're ready to bake it, to roast it. So I've got some melted butter here, and we're gonna brush the entire bird with some melted butter. If you don't want to use melted butter, just rub it with some olive oil, but it just gives it a nice flavor and it makes the skin round and beautiful. So brush the top part, and then I'm also going to brush a little bit here of the rack. I've got a V rack here, and then I have a nice roasting pan. So just brush this, because what we're going to do is we're going to now take this bird and we're going to put it breast side down, and we're going to cook it first with the breast side down. So this is the breast over here with the wings sticking up and the legs here, and we're going to flip this guy over like so, and then put him in like that, okay? And then we're going to brush the whole body on the back with some more melted butter, just like so. And the reason I greased the rack was that when we turn over the bird, we don't want any of that skin on the breast side to stick to the rack. Okay, so that looks good. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to pick these wings up here and then bend them back so that the wings, when we flip the bird over, don't get burned, because they're going to be sticking up and they will get browned way too fast. So you see how I just pulled those wings back, and then your bird should look like this. So here's the back, the wings are tipped back, and then, you know, it's all brushed with melted butter. So right now my oven is preheated at 425 degrees. I'm going to wash my hands and we're going to stick that bird in. We're going to baste it with some more melted butter after about 20 minutes. And then after 40 minutes total of the bird cooking like this, we're going to flip it over. So let's stick this bird right into the oven. And the oven is positioned, the racks are positioned very low, okay? So you don't want the turkey to be up too high, because then the breast meat will dry out. So I just stuck it in there like that, and then after 20 minutes, I will brush with more melted butter, and then I'm going to turn the pan around and so that it's more evenly distributed. And that's it. Okay, it's time to flip our turkey. So the first thing I'm going to do so that I don't forget is to turn the oven down to 325, because we want to roast the turkey low and slow for the rest of the time. So I'm turning it down to 325, and I'm going to pull my entire roasting pan out of the oven. This is about a 14-pound turkey. Now what I want to do is flip my turkey, and the best way to do that is with some clean rubber gloves. They will protect your hands from the heat, and then you can just go wash them. You know, those turkey handlers, those turkey forks and lifters, they're just so useless, I think, because they puncture the meat of the turkey, and the same thing goes for tongs. So this you probably already have in your kitchen. This is so much easier. So take the bird like this and flip, and you see it's not, the skin is not sticking to our rack because you already oiled it. All right, so now you're just going to baste it with a little bit more butter, and these lines will disappear, the ones that the racks made, those indentations, they'll disappear after about an hour. So just brush it liberally with some of this butter, and then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to put some stock, some turkey stock at the bottom of the pan to create some nice juices that we can then use to baste the turkey later. If you don't have turkey stock, if you haven't made any, you can use chicken stock, you can use vegetable stock, you can even use water. It's completely fine. We just need a little bit of liquid down here. Okay, so now we're going to put the turkey back in. Try and do that flipping and basting thing pretty quickly, because the longer the turkey is out, then it cooks more slowly. So get this guy back in. And I'm going to try and baste every 20 minutes, but if you can't, don't worry about it. And the goal with basting would just be to do it very quickly. I do it in about 30 seconds, quickly shut the oven door, and then set my timer again for 20 minutes. All right, that's it. Okay. Well, we don't know yet.
It's always fun.
We don't know. We'll see. All right, let's go with this one. Let's just see what this says for us. So we're going to put this in the thickest part of the breast, If it touches any bone, just kind of pull it up a little bit because that's going to affect your reading. That's not very thick. Let's see. There. Okay. The temperature we're looking for is about 165 to 170, and we are at 171. So it's definitely time to go. The juices are totally running clear. I'm going to check the thigh also, which is just underneath your drumstick. And this should also be a little bit higher than that. You know, you want this to be in like the 175 to 180 range, and we are at 178.
Can you show where that's actually stuck?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go.
Are the temperatures on your sheet?
Yep. So this one's perfect. I mean, this is totally ready to go. And what we're going to do now is we have to keep this warm, and we're going to let it rest. And that is so that we can get our vegetables in the oven. No, but we would like to get our vegetables in the oven. And the other reason we let it rest is so that the juices redistribute themselves throughout the turkey, because the juices are now up here and on the exterior of the bird. So if you went in and you carved it right now, the juices would just splay out. Yeah. So you want to get them right back in so that the meat is nice and moist. Okay, so that is the key. So temp it so it stays nice and warm. Ideally, you're going to let this rest. A smaller bird for like 20 to 30 minutes. A larger bird, you can go 30 to 40, 45 if you want to.